And then the rest of it reads, for any specific witnesses for whom there are legitimate security concerns that can be substantiated by the witnesses or the state, the witnesses or the state may request that only the audio of their testimony be recorded. In addition to, for any specific alleged victims for whom there are legitimate security concerns that can be substantiated by the alleged victim of the state may request during the limited period of the live stream of such person's testimony, such person's identity to include such person's first and last name be temporarily obscured or redacted in said live stream, and that person's first and last initials only be live streamed during the limited pendency of such person's testimony. If the media interveners or any defendant objects to the witnesses, the alleged victims, or the state's request, media interveners or any objecting defendant shall be required to bring their objection to the attention of the court promptly for resolution prior to such witnesses or alleged victim's testimony. If neither media interveners nor defendant raises an objection to the witness, the alleged victim, or the state's request, or if such objection is overruled, the pool video camera and all authorized users of other cameras in the courtroom shall be instructed by the court that video or still photographic images of the witness cannot be taken while the witness is in the courtroom, or in the case of alleged victims, that person's first and last initials, only be live streamed during the limited pendency of such person's testimony, provided, however, that the live streaming or subsequent publication of recordings in which counsel, the court, or witnesses refers to alleged victims by name shall be not attributable to the media interveners as a violation of the terms of this order. In the event that a media organization streams the pool video of the trial, in this case in conjunction with a live chat containing comments of online observers, such media organizations shall undertake a good faith effort to remove from such chat any threatening commentary about witnesses, as well as any commentary providing identifying information regarding the witnesses, including but not limited to their purported address, phone number, current and former employer, or other sensitive personal identifiable information. 3, nothing in this order shall limit the right of the media to report on information that has already been publicly disclosed in these proceedings and is disclosed during the course of the trial or is otherwise made a matter of public record. 4, except as specifically set forth therein, nothing in this order shall limit the right of the media to record any portion of the trial of this case consistent with any Rule 22 order that has been or may enter by this court. So, Mr. Yahelski, can you make those changes? Are there any other changes I need to address?
No, on behalf of the media council, I just spoke this morning with Ms. Cater, and I'll do this, and I just want to propose this on the record on their behalf. With respect to paragraph 2, we want that to apply to those who are deemed special circumstances witnesses. We don't want them exerting tons of manpower monitoring every chat for every single witness. So that limitation was proposed by media council. Yeah. Thank you. One additional change that the state and media have agreed on just as of recently was with respect to paragraph 2, in the interest that the media interveners, don't have to exert a lot of manpower monitoring all the chat for every single witness in this trial, we would suggest putting in language that paragraph 2 applies to those who have been properly deemed special circumstances witnesses only.
And what is a special circumstance witness?
Either, a victim whose initials only are to be live streamed, or a witness with, special circumstances such as like a law enforcement officer undercover, or someone, any witness who has a legitimate request, to be audio only, not video. Basically the 2 categories of protected sort of witnesses designated under this order.
You'll need to define that in order. Okay? Okay. That's what's going to be added.
And then
I don't have an issue with it, but it needs to be defined so everybody looking at the order knows what it means.
That'll be fine. That'll be fine. And the one other,
good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right.
The one other request was for we had the defendant sort of right to object, we would like to put in there that, and I think Mr. Weinstein suggested this deadline, but a 9 a.m. deadline for them to voice any objections based on them receiving the distribution list.
Well, that's assuming you'll give it to them by Friday at 5.
Well, that's exactly.
It's not aspirational.
Neither one is, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I just want you to remember that. What's good for the goose, good for the gander. If you don't give it to them by Friday at 5, then they can't expect to be enforced by Monday at 9.
That's agreeable. Understood.
So if you put that in there, I reserve the right to change or modify the time period. So, or at least for the objection to be heard. So say, for example, you don't give it to them by Friday, I got to give them an opportunity to respond to it. So I may give them a couple of days. So.
Sure.
Okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
And just to clarify, Your Honor, that's going to be Monday morning, 9 a.m., correct? Right? Okay. Thank you.
All right. Yes, add that as well. So could you float can you make those changes right now and send them to council, please?
Yes, sir.
I think we'll have a few minutes because I don't believe our jurors are all here. Ms. Gaither, anything else, madam?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Does that comport, or do you have any further objection to anything that the state has, or the defendants have raised thus far?
Do not, Your Honor.
Okay. Anybody else from the defense?
Your Honor, one other housekeeping matter is separate from.
Oh, if you give a mouse a cookie, I mean,
What's the other part of that?
he'll take some more. That's right. So
here we are.
Right.
So this is just housekeeping, just as a matter of observation from watching, and I want to thank the press for their great coverage, but watching the coverage, the way that the camera is set up, you can hear a pin drop on the state's table a lot of times. And there's a lot of sort of discussion that happens at the state's table. And so that we're not just complaining with no solution in mind. We would sort of ask that we explore the option that maybe like the camera be sort of centered a little bit more to where it's not like picking up every single whisper. I mean, you can hear anything the state's attorneys are saying over here. And it's really not the case for any other parties in this proceeding. So I just wanted to put that on the record that we had a concern about.
I'll let you work on that, okay? But I'm not included to put in order at this point, okay? Because I can't control everything. That's more a media camera pick. I know that they don't, even though they could see what you're doing on your table, they don't. But if it becomes a problem, I'll certainly address it. But that's something you can talk with Ms. Gaither and the fine camera folks here, okay?
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. So, folks, we're just going to recess in place until I get the approval that all of our jurors have arrived, and then we'll go ahead and get started, okay? All right. Good morning, Mr. Matthews, Jr. All right. All right.
Just while we're waiting.
We said evening. We haven't heard anything, but we did circulate that yesterday evening, Your Honor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. All right, thank you, sir. Name room. Ladies and gentlemen, jury, good morning. Good morning. All right, we have a little bit of a technology delay, so with some issues with Zoom, so that's the reason for our delay. We're going to go ahead and get started. And just to give you anticipated, we're going to work till probably around a little after 12, and then we'll recess for lunch at that point in time, okay? All right. Investigator Button, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
All right, and you are still on the road, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, you may continue with your examination, Mr. Steele. May I, Your Honor?
You may, yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Good morning. When we stopped yesterday, we were in the middle of what I'm calling State's Exhibit Number 1, which I think is accurate. And the purpose of this is just to, it's been so long, just to educate the jury that you're not giving them the law. You're not trying to give them the law, correct?
I am not.
And as far as when you had Jeffery Williams' picture, and we saw it yesterday in your exhibit, in your PowerPoint, I guess, with the red bandana and talked about colors, you weren't trying to tell the jurors that Mr. Williams only wears red or doesn't wear other colors. You made it clear that he wears whatever he wants, I guess just like I would. Is that fair to say?
Yes, the purpose of that photo wasn't to say that he doesn't wear other colors.
All right. Now, the rest of the State's Exhibit Number 1, Mr. District Attorney, are you going to help us?
We are, I'm working on Washington
Take your
State right
time.
now.
Take your time.
Thank you.
We will come back to that just for the interest of time, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do this. Let's go to tweets. Is that okay? You can get on? Okay. Let's go to the tweets that were introduced with the state, okay?
Yes, sir.
By you. With the court's permission, can Mr. Kokomo display the tweets, Your Honor? They're already in evidence.
What exhibit number, sir?
There are multiple. Let me get it. We start with the court's permission, State's Exhibit 21W.
It's already been admitted in evidence?
That's my understanding, yes, sir. And Your Honor, this is 21W consecutively through State's 50W.
All right, sir. It's been admitted. You may publish as you see fit, just identify them.
Okay. So just to refresh your memory, Mr. Kokomo is going to put up individually, and I'll announce for the record for the jurors which state exhibit. We're going to go through all of the Twitter that you put in, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. And the ones that we did already, I'm just going to mention, and if I'm wrong, just tell us.
It's disabled for sharing.
You want to talk to me?
Yeah, Judge, I didn't see Mr. Kearns. It looks like the Zoom is disabled for sharing. We might need to boot it back up, if that's the right term.
And you know what? We'll come back to this. Sounds like we cannot get the technology going. All right.
Authorize right now.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Share with everybody down here.
Do you know that it is, my word is commonplace, in the hip hop or rap music arena that artists commonly substitute a B for a C, for instance? Are you aware of that?
Objection, speculation.
I say objection.
Okay, don't speculate. Are you aware of rap music where there are songs, not involving Mr. Williams, where the C is exchanged for a B?
I am aware of songs not involving Mr. Williams where the C is replaced for a B.
And this is widely done, and I don't know what widely means, let me change that. This is something that is done by known artists. Is that fair to say?
Yes, it has been done by some known artists.
Including, and I'm not limiting it to, but Post Malone. Do you know who Post Malone is?
I know who he is.
Have you heard him do that?
I have not.
Okay. Meek Mill, you know who that artist is?
I do.
Have you know that?
No, sir.
Are you familiar with the song Jumped Out the Face by Meek Mill?
I'm not.
And Post Malone, you are familiar with the song Psycho?
No.
Are you familiar with Juice WRLD?
I know who he is.
Are you familiar with, instead of cooling, booling, B-O-O-L-I-N? Are you familiar with that song?
I'm not.
Okay. Trippy Red, you know who that is?
I know of him.
And do you know the song Bust Down, Again, Booling, Rather Than Cooling?
No, sir.
Playboy Cardi, you know who that is?
I do.
And the song, and I'm not going to say it, but Cash, S-H-I blank. You familiar with that?
I'm not.
Okay. Little Yachty, you know who that is?
I do.
The song 66, Booling is used instead of cooling. You familiar with that?
No, sir.
Lil Wayne, as I said, I Do It. Are you familiar with that song?
I may have heard it, but I don't know all the lyrics.
All right. Are you familiar in that song? It is booling instead of cooling, for example.
No, no reason to dispute it.
All right. Little Uzi Vert, you know who that rapper is?
I do.
You know the song Got. Do you know that song?
I don't.
Excuse me. Booling instead of cooling. Okay. Ruby Rose, you know the song, you know that rapper?
I don't.
Okay. YWN Melly, you know that rapper?
I do.
The song Till the End?
I don't.
All right. How about the word crazy? It starts with a C instead of that brazy. Have you heard known rappers change that, not Mr. Williams, excluding Mr. Williams?
I have.
All right. A$AP Rocky, you know the song Crazy Brazy?
I don't know if I've heard that song or not.
All right. YG, Still Brazy, you know that song?
I don't.
Future, you know who that is?
I do.
Absolutely Going Brazy, you know that?
I'm not familiar with the song.
All right. Lil Wayne song Only, same lyric change.
I don't know that I've ever heard it.
All right. Kendrick Lamar, you know who that is?
I do.
You know the song My Hood Going Brazy?
I don't know if I've ever heard that one.
Okay. The Weeknd song Snow Child?
I'm not familiar with it.
All right. Travis Scott, you know who that is?
I do.
Did you realize he just played on the Grammys this past weekend?
Objection relevant.
That's the same question.
You know the song Coordinate?
I'm sorry?
Coordinate?
No.
The lyric Brazy. All right. Offset, you ever hear them?
Yes.
Red Room, Brazy Again, and the like.
Okay.
Also words like kicking, you ever hear bricking?
Bricking, no. Bicking, yes.
Say it one more time.
Bicking, yes.
All right. And then Bompton instead of Compton, the city.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. And then Biddy instead of city.
Yes.
All right. So this is something that you're familiar with, which is common to exchange the letters in this type of field of music. Is that fair to say?
Objection, speculation as to common.
I sustain the objection.
All right. Let me ask you this. You had the pleasure for the last, you remind me, I say 15 years to be working with the City of Atlanta Police Department in the gang unit. Is that fair to say?
It is.
And you've had the pleasure of working alongside other people assigned to that unit. Is that fair to say?
Certainly.
And some of these people may be retired, but if you allow me to just go through a few of them, I'd like to talk about them. You work closely with a gentleman who may be retired now, former detective, I guess, or retired detective Dennis, Tyrone Dennis. Is that fair to say?
I did. He's retired now, but we did work together.
And he was sort of, and if I'm wrong, just tell me, like a mentor to you and the others. Is that fair to say in the gang unit?
No, we worked closely together. We're colleagues, and I have a great deal of respect for Ty Dennis, but I wouldn't say that he had a mentoring role for me.
That's fine. And when did he, if you know, join the gang unit of the Atlanta Police Department? If there was a gang unit, by the way.
There was, and I believe, I don't know, I'm going to have to approximate, but I believe 2012 or 13. It might have been before that.
Okay, so
I don't recall the exact year, so I forgive me for guessing. I don't recall what
that would
year.
be after you, though.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't realize it. Thank you. Okay, and you work closely with him, fair to say? At the time, like before he retired, obviously.
I worked as closely with him as I did with the rest of the unit, sure.
Shared ideas,
At times.
thoughts on cases and theories.
Sure.
Same questions about, I believe she's also retired,
Detective Gaither, is that fair to say she's retired?
She is, and she retired as a sergeant, but she was, we were assigned together in the gang unit, both as officers, as detectives, and then she was promoted to sergeant as well.
And excluding the word mentor, unless she was, same close relationship, working relationship?
Certainly.
All right, and same as, and I think she's still there, Detective Underwood?
Yes.
And same type of relationship, you work together, you see things similarly, share ideas?
Well, there are several layers in there. I don't think for any of us we always see things similarly, but we certainly work cases together and share ideas.
And you go to the same training classes, similar training classes, I guess?
No, there's a variety of training out there, and we've been to different training. Some of the training may overlap or be similar, but no, certainly not all of it.
And when you go to different training sessions, you'll share that information with your coworkers. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, to the extent that it's necessary, and we can, sure.
And then there's an investigator, more recent investigator, Viverito. Is that accurate?
Is what accurate?
She's in your gang unit now?
Yes.
Okay. And same with her. When did she come to the gang unit?
It was, I guess, was it last calendar year when she came back over to the Atlanta Police Department?
That's fine. Within the last year or two. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. And you work with her the same, similar, I know it's not as long, but as these other people. Is that fair to say?
We've worked together in a variety of capacities over a fairly long period of time.
All right. I want to ask you, on this case, have you worked with those four other people? So it's investigator Viverito, former sergeant or retired Sergeant Gaither, retired Detective Dennis, and maybe Detective Underwood. Have you spoken with them about this case?
When you say this case, this case is made up of a variety.
On this case?
Well, what you're calling this case as far as this indictment, I mean, it's, again, a collection of a number of things.
All right. Now, part of this indictment is music or lyrics. Is that fair to say?
I don't know that I would characterize it that way. I think that music or lyrics have been used as part of the overt acts in this. I don't know that that's, I don't know what you're calling part of the indictment.
Okay, well, let me ask you this one. Tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how many cases you've investigated where a person's profession or art as a, let's say, an author, a novelist, a person who writes a book. How many times have you done a case where you use that person's art in the trial?
I haven't had any cases involving an author where their written works were part of the evidence in our trial.
How about a movie actor or a writer of a script? Tell the jurors how many times you use their art in the movie or the writer's words in a trial or an investigation. It doesn't have to be a trial.
I haven't had any investigations that involved a movie. What did you ask? I'm sorry.
Who writes a movie or acts in a movie?
I've had no cases involving someone who's written a movie script or has acted in a movie.
How about an investigation where there was a musical artist and their art outside of hip hop or rap? So let's say country. How many people who perform country music have you ever investigated for their and included their lyrics?
Well, I haven't investigated any country music artists for criminal activity.
Okay. Opera? Anybody?
I've investigated no opera artists.
All right. Rock and roll?
I don't believe I've investigated any rock artists.
Popular music? Pop music?
Nope, I don't believe I have any cases that have involved any pop music artists either.
But you testified, I believe it was on direct examination, that you've had several cases where a person who performs hip hop or rap music that you have investigated their lyrics, or their lyrics came up in your investigation. That's probably a better way to say it. Is that true?
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it.
Now, Jeffrey, if you don't know, just say I don't know. He was born and raised in Jonesboro South until about when it was ripped down in 2007. Does that sound right? And if you don't know, just say I don't know.
I do know, and that does sound right.
All right. And then his family was displaced, but eventually, a short time later, he wound up living in the Cleveland Avenue area. Is that fair to say?
I believe so, yes.
Tell the jurors what year Jeffrey no longer lived in the Cleveland Avenue area.
I don't know what year he moved away from Cleveland Avenue.
Tell the jurors what years that Jeffrey moved out of the state of Georgia and was living outside the state.
I don't know what years he was living outside of the state of Georgia.
I don't mean to be rude. Just give me 1 second, okay?
Sure.
You ready? Okay. Let's go back to I got a thumbs up. Your Honor, can we go back to the Kokomo assisting with State's Exhibit number 21W, if that's okay?
You may.
Thank you. Okay, on the screen was we just lost it. Okay, on the screen, that is State's Exhibit 21W.
And that's not what I have, this 21W.
Well, I was about to say, just
I'm sorry.
what I did was because they're not the same dates, you should have two tweets on one page. Is that fair to say?
It is.
Okay. So what I did was I separated it just because they're not consistent tweets. They're not together. They're different dates. So make it easier if that's okay.
Understood.
All right. So this is.
The state would ask that he use the actual exhibit 21W. You can point out.
I'll direct that, Mr. Steele, just to keep things consistent in this report. For that to be shown. So I'll directly do that.
Okay. Want to help me?
I can definitely help you.
We're gonna have to.
It's a little bit right now. That's all right. Give you description.
Yeah.
Things exhibits. Understood.
It looks like we're at a pause again. So let's just go keep the use of the time. I want to ask you some questions while they're working this out.
Yes, sir.
Then I promise you we'll go back to the tweets. You explained that this is a large investigation. Is that fair to say?
Sure.
And do you know that there were wiretaps used in this case? Are you
I do.
familiar with that? Tell the ladies and gentlemen jury what a wiretap is, if you don't mind.
So a wiretap, and the way that we're using it, is a court-ordered monitoring of an electronic source, typically a telephone line. But again, it's court-ordered, and it's surveilled electronically, and the calls can be monitored and potentially recorded for evidence.
And when you do, not you, but when the authorities, the district attorney's office and its team, the police, the federal authorities, whomever, when they decide on a wiretap and ask the court to do that, that's done between the parties and the court so that other people don't know, it's secret, right?
Objection, Your Honor, improper question.
I'll sustain objection, sir.
The whole point of a wiretap is that the person targeted doesn't realize that their phone is being listened to. Is that fair to say?
I would not say that's the whole point of a wiretap, but that's certainly an important element of it.
Well, that's important because if the person knew that they were being recorded or listened to, they may be guarded in what they say. Is that true?
They certainly could be.
So one point is to gather information, but another point is to get as pure as can the conversations, the topics of conversations that the person who's being targeted, their phone's being targeted, is having. Is that fair to say?
No, I would disagree with that. that characteristic. I mean, the point of a wiretap is to gather evidence, not just information and not just to listen to someone's conversations. The wiretap affidavits are written about specific criminal activity being investigated, and the purpose of it, again, as I've said, is to gather evidence to further that investigation.
Now, when you did this investigation, when I say you, I'm including your teammates, district attorney's office, co-workers, etc. You or your teammates chose whose telephones to target. Is that fair to say?
I'm gonna say objection, Your Honor, is a characteristic of teammates.
I stand objection.
The authorities, the prosecution team, targeted certain phones. True?
I don't know what you're defining as the prosecution team, but I also wasn't the person who made the decision of what phones to target, and so I'm not really familiar with the process or decision-making aspect of that investigation.
Do you know whose telephones were targeted in this case, wiretap-wise?
I do.
Okay, and tell the jurors who.
Antonio Sumlin and Demikion Garlington.
And can you give their nicknames, if you don't mind, and go one at a time?
Antonio Sumlin went by Obama, and Demikion Garlington by D.
Would it also be Little D?
Could be Little D as well.
Okay. And this investigation looked into Jeffery Williams a great deal. Is that fair to say?
I would not characterize it as saying we looked into Jeffery Williams a great deal.
But the decision was made by whomever that Jeffery Williams' phone was not wiretapped. You realize that?
Objection, Your Honor, speculation.
I stand objection.
Do you have any information that Jeffery Williams' telephone or telephones were wiretapped?
I do not.
Now, a wiretap could, in different circumstances, produce a lot of information. True? And I say information, but a lot of evidence, good or bad.
Okay, so what's the question?
That's why it's done. A wiretap could be a fertile ground for information that's relevant to an investigation. True?
Yeah, I don't know that I would say it could be fertile ground. Wiretaps are, of course, conducted because they're believed to be a tool that may produce evidence in a case.
Another way to gather evidence when investigating someone is to have a person call that target. In this case, let's say Jeffery Williams. Call Jeffery Williams while the police monitor or record that conversation with the permission of the person who's making the call. Is that fair to say?
It is fair to say that that is possible, yes.
Is there a reason, you know Mr. Kenneth Copeland, you know who he is?
I do.
In fact, I believe you've arrested him. Is that true?
I have.
Is there a reason, and Kenneth Copeland, quote unquote, cooperated with the authorities at one point. Is that fair?
I mean, I would have to have you define cooperation a little bit more, but yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say.
Is there a reason that when Kenneth Copeland offered to call Mr. Jeffery Williams, the police said no?
Objection to the fact finding evidence.
I stand objection.
Is there a reason the police did not ask Kenneth Copeland to call Jeffery Williams, record the call when Jeffery Williams would not know it's being recorded by police?
Objection again, assuming fact
I stand objection.
All right. You have it up? Okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Okay, so I'd like to go over with you the tweets like we said a couple days ago. And we're just going to have to go back and forth because I don't believe... Actually, you do have everything I gave you a couple weeks ago. I'll do it with Mr. Copeland. All right, so is this fair to say this is 21W?
Yes, sir.
And we're going to take them one at a time. But 21W at the top, and the jurors can take note of it, of what it says. And then at the bottom, we're going to do that second. And I will make sure the jurors know it's at the bottom of 21W, okay?
Okay.
But I want to put these in context if I can. So I think you're going to have to give it back to Mr. Kocham.
And
You're going to love this free AI meeting assistant. It's recording our meeting, transcribing everything I say, so we don't need to take notes. But let's be honest, neither of us actually wants to read through.
what exhibit is Mr. Kokomo putting up?
It's in order.
Which exhibit?
What exhibit number? It hasn't been admitted.
Yeah, I think it's 60. Well, maybe that's wrong. 60, Your Honor.
Well, I don't believe defense exhibit 60 has been admitted. State correct now. Check.
They could object. This is put in the context.
Are you talking about 60 whiskey?
Yes, no.
About videotape?
No, this would be
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Williams, number 60, dated today.
I think the latest Williams exhibit I have, Christina, correct me if I'm wrong, is defendant Williams 45.
We're going to fill them all in.
There you go. So what are you labeling it as?
60. I have other ones that will be used.
Have you shown it to the state?
Yes.
No, Your Honor, not specifically 60W. He's given us a packet, and we do not know what 60 Williams is, Your Honor.
It's in order.
Your Honor, I don't know which order he's referring to. He's given us a packet.
Mr. Kochman, can you approach the podium and show those to State's Counsel, please?
Have it on your thumb drive and email.
Are you going through 46 through 60? Is that what you're doing?
No, those are filled in with other things that I'll get to later in the trial.
So which ones are you going through right now so the state can look at those?
You said
60, and they have it all in order. It just goes
60 and what?
60, then 61, 62, 63, all the way up until we finish.
not labeled.
Well, okay.
Not
all
labeled.
right, tell me the numbers so that I'll have a complete universe of what tweets you're showing.
Yeah.
60 through what?
I believe it is 90, Your Honor.
So defendant Williams 60 through 90?
That's my belief. Yes, sir.
I'll go down with you.
Those need to be
Break is a
shown to
different
the
exhibit?
state if they haven't done so already.
They have been, sir.
And Your Honor, just for clarity, is each page, I have a 34-page document, is each page a separate exhibit because they are not labeled, it's just a packet. So it's page 160, page 261, if we can get some clarity as to what the exhibit numbers are, so we can object accordingly.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about we take just a brief comfort break, and I can sort this out with counsel and let you know where we're going to head from there. Okay? So we'll be in recess about 10 minutes or so. I'll inquire or send word into you. All right? All rise. We're in recess. The tweets.
I think you told me defendant Williams 60 whiskey through 76 whiskey.
Your Honor, I believe all the exhibits are labeled, and the state has an objection to each and every last one of them. Now that they have been labeled, now we can properly object to these as these tweets being entered into evidence. And I think it's going to take longer than the 5 minutes that you need to leave, since you have to leave at 12:05. And so we will be prepared to argue once we return. Now that they are labeled, we can move forward. But we do believe it'll take longer than 12:05.
Okay. I'm going to summon our jurors, and then we'll be in recess until 1:30, and then I'll see how these tweets, the admission of the tweets, it goes. And if it's going to take any length of time, I may reserve the right to dismiss our jury at this point in time. So that's what the court's plan is at this point in time. Okay. Deputy Ham, if you'll go ahead and summon our jurors, please. And you could invite Investigator Belknap to rejoin us, please. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. All right, thank you, Sergeant Ingram. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had a extended delay, and I've told you that we can't a lot of times script these things. So I'm going to ask for your patience a little bit longer. So what I'd like to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to go ahead and just release you for lunch at this point in time. Have you come back for 1:30, and I'll just be candid up front. There's some more work that we may need to do, and depending upon the length of that, I may reserve the right to just go ahead and recess you for the afternoon. So I want you to just put that on your radar, so that you'll know that's what happens. I told you up front, okay? Not trying to play hide the ball with you, but I'm trying to let you know as much as I know, okay? All right. So again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. So I'm going to excuse you for lunch. Remember my admonitions that I've given you and will continue to give you that still apply to you. And Investigator Belknap, if you'll return with us at 1:30, don't discuss testimony of anybody except the attorneys in this case, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, enjoy your lunch. We'll see you back at 1:30, okay? All rise.
Oh, yeah. I just admitted Mr. Atkins, so But there are cases not. I don't know.
Please be seated, everybody. Call and deal with it. Chris?
I didn't.
I do it. Hey, can you admit or connect the prosecution table down here? Okay, we're going to continue with our examination at this point in time. So, Mr. Steele.
Your Honor, may I approach?
You may, sir.
May I approach you, sir?
Yes.
I'm going to show you, and we'll go through them as we get to them, but I'm just giving you a stack. It's Mr. Williams, number 60 through 75, if that's okay.
I'd like to talk with you about the first tweet that you discussed with the Honorable Prosecution, and that was, you had two tweets, if you just remember, before the break. And I'm talking about the top one first, okay?
Which exhibit number, sir?
21W.
Okay.
You have it?
I do.
Okay. And if we could just put the top one on the screen just for a moment. And do you remember this that's on the screen? Is that fair to say the top of 21W states?
You're right. That's not 21W.
I said the top of 21W of states.
Mr. Kokomo is not producing exhibit 21W. That is incomplete.
Is there another piece of 21W?
It's separate, it's a different date, and I will get to that as well. I'm going to each tweet in order. The state pulled out on different dates. I'm going to give context to each tweet.
But Your Honor, this is not the exhibit that the state admitted. So both tweets are on there. He can handle it however he chooses, but the exhibit is not what is on the screen.
Well, I choose to do it this way because I showed the jurors before the break as a prosecution
but
asked.
it's not the entirety of the state's exhibit. It's not state's 21 whiskey.
Okay, I
It would need
never
to
said,
be-
I said it's a top portion.
Okay, all right. But it wasn't admitted that way. It was admitted with both. So you need to have both, or you need to make it your exhibit.
I will call it then Mr. Williams number 60A.
Okay, any objection to 60 alpha?
No objection for 60.
60 alpha is admitted and published as you see fit.
Was 60A, and it's coming back up there, the same as State's Exhibit 21W, the top portion? Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. And is that fair to say? My question, it's the top portion of 21W of states?
Yes, sir.
All right. And again, it is Mr. Williams' Twitter account. You recognize that, right?
I do.
And you recognize the date of August 31, 2011, as you testified, and recognize, and it was admitted during your direct examination with the prosecution, right?
Yes.
And here, you found it important to identify to the jury, or you identified to the jury, I love my rock family, and then it has the other words afterwards, and then hashtag follow now. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that's what it reads.
All right. Did you look at the context of that tweet on or about August 31, 2011, when you prepared to come before this jury and give testimony on that tweet?
Objection, Your Honor, as to he's looking at the context. He cannot,
So what's your objection, madam?
the defense cannot speak to context. That would
That's
be
still not an objection.
That's hearsay. He cannot speak to the declarant's context.
I'll state the objection.
I'm not asked for any statements. Did you look at the tweets surrounding the tweet that you told the jury about on 21W of State's Exhibit on the top?
I was asked to review the content of the tweets that have been admitted into evidence.
But answer my question if you don't mind.
I thought that wasn't answered your question, I'm sorry. I was asked to review these specific exhibits, so this is the extent of what I reviewed in preparation for my testimony.
Okay, so you did not review the tweets on the same day, August 31, 2011, from Mr. Williams' Twitter account. Is that fair to say?
It is, I did not.
All right. You have in front of you Mr. Williams' number 60?
I do.
Okay. And do you see on Mr. Williams' number 60 tweets purportedly from Mr. Williams' Twitter account?
I do.
And does it include the tweet that is on the screen now as Mr. Williams' number 60A? I love my Rock Crew fam, at Rock Crew Daddo, at Young Zoo 1, at Maybach _ Rock Crew, hashtag follow now. Does it have the same?
It does.
All right. And then is there other tweets on 60, on Mr. Williams 60?
There are.
And do you have any need anything to look at to make sure that those are the tweets on the same day surrounding the tweet that you just read and identified on State's 21W top of the page?
Based on what's on the page, they all appear to be on the same date.
Okay. Your Honor, I move for the admission of Mr. Williams, number 60, dated today, which is 2/8/24. Under the rule of completeness.
Talk about 60, Defendant Williams 60?
Correct.
Any objection to Defendant Williams 60?
Yes, Your Honor.
Basis.
Hearsay, and witness is not competent to speak to the declarant's context surrounding those particular tweets.
Overruled. It's admitted. Maybe publish as you see fit.
Can you, Mr. Kokomo, please do me a favor and Detective Belknap, if it's easier on the screen, otherwise in front of you, I know it's maybe dark in front of you, if the screen's better. I'd like to go through these tweets with you, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Kokomo, can you make it bigger, and we'll just go one at a time, starting from the top, in this case, to the bottom? And if you could just make it a little bigger, and make sure you get the top one, if you don't mind. Okay. The very first one, Detective, is also purportedly from Mr. Williams' Twitter. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And it's at 7:57 p.m. on August 31, 2011, right?
It is.
And that is the same day as the one specific tweet that you pulled out on Mr. Williams' number 21W top portion, correct?
I did not pull any tweets out.
Correct me. Go ahead.
So,
The one you identified.
yes, the one that was in the exhibit, that is correct.
Okay. And what Mr. Williams purportedly wrote, or his Twitter reads, and I'm just reading the very first one, is all my followers go to the girl at KL_3 stiff right now, 4 exclamation points. Is that fair reading?
Fair enough.
Okay. And then that was at 7:57, we said, right?
Yes.
Then if you go down, the next tweet, Mr. Kokomo, if you don't mind. The next tweet, which is approximately 11 minutes later, it's at 8:08 p.m. You see that on August 31, 2011?
I do.
And this is also Mr. Williams' Twitter?
It is.
And then it says, follow at YoungZoo1 #ASAP, or as soon as possible. Fair to say?
Yes.
And that is similar to the tweet that was on the top part of State's 21W about I love my rock family, at Rock Crew Daddy-O, at YoungZoo1, at Maybach_Rock Crew, #follow now. Is that fair to say?
There are similarities, yes.
Okay. And also in the 8:08 p.m., August 31, 2011, Young's Thug Twitter account where it says follow at YoungZoo1 #ASAP, that is also the same at YoungZoo1 that is in State's 21W top of the page, right?
Yes.
All right. The next one is YoungZoo Twitter. Did you ever look at YoungZoo Twitter to prepare for this testimony?
Not to prepare for this, no.
All right. Well, let's look at that, and that's at 8:22 p.m. on the same day, correct? August 31, 2011?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is saying cooling instead of a C. It's replaced with a K. Is that fair to say?
It is.
Cooling it on the set with, and then it says Young Thug World at KL_3 stiff, at Maybach_Rock Crew, at Little Tony _MDC, #cooling it, #getting money. You see all that?
I do.
Okay, and then in that one, YoungZoo is on a set. Do you know? And if you don't know, that's fine. Do you know what a set is?
I do.
In the setting of music, tell the jury.
Well, this doesn't have context for what type of set that he's talking about. It just says cooling on the set.
Okay. So do you know what it is?
I can't say just from that. I mean, I could assume, but I think I'm not supposed to do that.
Okay. And YoungZoo is saying cooling it, that means maybe being with somebody. Is that a fair statement?
Your Honor, objection is hearsay
Still speculation.
and speculation.
With Young Thug World, that you know would be Mr. Williams' handle, right?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
That would be Mr. Williams' handle, Young Thug World.
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
And then if you go over at KL_stiff, right?
Yes.
And that is the same one. It's not on the screen anymore. But if Mr. Kokomo can go up, that Mr. Williams on that same day, within 30 minutes, said follow that person as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, and if you go back down to where we were, and then it says, if you could go over a little bit, Mr. Kokomo, at Maybach_Rock Crew, you see that?
I do.
And that's the same one that is on States 24W that you talked about in the top portion, right?
Yes, it is.
And then it says at @LittleTony_MDC, and then cooling it, #getting money. Fair to say?
Yes.
All right. Does this appear to be that they were together? If you know, and if you don't know, just say I can't speculate.
Objection, speculation.
I stand
Question
objection.
called.
All right. The next one, it should be at 8:27, about 5 minutes later. And that is the targeted tweet in 21W on the top portion, correct?
It is the top portion of the exhibit, yes.
Okay. And then the jurors have read it, but that's the same exact tweet. And then at the bottom, going back to Young Zoo, you see that? And it said,
Your Honor, that would be hearsay because this is not Mr. Williams' tweet.
that goes to the rule of completeness, put it in context.
No, it does not.
I stand the objection, Ms. Hilton. He's referenced already in the tweets anyway, so I'll rule the objection.
And then at the bottom, it says, that bottom tweet from Young Zoo, if you can, that's at 8:30 p.m., about 3 minutes later, correct?
Yes.
Same date?
It is.
And again, it's saying the same as Mr. Williams' tweet that you told the jury about, at Rock Crew Daddy-O, followed back bro. Fair to say?
It is.
You knew none of that when you testified before the jury earlier to talk about the one tweet, correct?
I did not review these prior to discussing the tweet.
All right, let's go to the bottom portion of 21W, which I am going to mark as Mr. Williams' number 60B, as in Barry or Bravo. Do you recognize I display 60B, which is the bottom part of stage 21W.
You got it.
No, Your Honor, what, sir, it's in the check. He hasn't shown it to the witness, he hasn't shown it to the state.
I have shown it to both.
Yes, we need a clean. Or you could just use 21W.
Can you put it?
Okay, so what are y'all doing? I have on here 60B.
No, we just put in the actual 21W, because I believe it's the bottom part.
That's fine, Your Honor.
All right, it's 21W already been admitted?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Do you recognize 21W on the bottom? I'm focused on the bottom portion.
I do.
Okay. And that is a tweet on a different day than August 31, 2011, right?
It is.
And that's December 15th, 2011?
It is.
And Mr. Williams' Twitter account, purportedly?
Yes.
And you identified this earlier, and then in the quotation, it states, at Mon MDC : at Young Thug World, I seen an N with a Crip flag today, talking about he with the rock, end quote. You see that?
I do.
And you explained to the jury already that those quotations mean that Mr. Williams is responding to that tweet. He did not write that tweet. Is that correct?
Yes, that's how that works. The quoted text is text that's being replied to.
And then Mr. Williams purportedly, or whoever has his Twitter account, wrote the words, "boy stop," with 3 commas, never that, right?
Yes,
That is all that contains in that tweet, correct?
that is correct.
So Mr. Williams' statement purportedly on this Twitter is "boy stop, never that." Correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to go to state's number 22W. Do you see that?
Yes,
And do you remember testifying to this? It's already in evidence.
I do.
And this is December 5, 2011, correct?
It is.
And then all it says is if you want to know what Cleveland is, they're common in 3 periods. It's where the bloods be 3 exclamation points, right?
That's correct.
And that's the sum and substance of what you did in that. It's just those words, right?
Yes, that's what's contained within the tweet.
Okay. The next one is 23W. Do you remember this tweet that you helped get into evidence you recognize?
I do.
Now it's a different date, but December 16th, 2011. You remember that?
I do.
And again, Mr. Williams' Twitter, and it says again in the quotes, at flyordie_BIT blank H, I'm on Cleveland, in the jungle, rock crew, what up, ? End quote, right?
Yes,
And that's another person who is making that statement, correct?
it is.
Do you know who that person is?
I don't.
Okay. And all Mr. Williams' Twitter account did, whomever is writing it, where you be, bro, right?
Yes, it quoted the text from the previous tweet and then added in the comment "where you be, bro."
That's it. Correct? That's the sum and substance of that tweet.
Yes, that's what's contained within the tweet.
Okay, 24, W. This is December 14, 2011, right?
Yes.
And on this one, Mr. Williams' Twitter account is on December 14, 2011, writing, I think I might join hashtag duct tape, because they would the hashtag BS. Fair to say?
It is.
Okay. And you know that duct tape is a entertainment label in Atlanta. Fair to say?
It is that, among other things.
And then comma, and the hashtag rock with the hashtag BS 3 exclamation points, right?
Yes.
And you know that Jay-Z's record label in New York is Rock Nation?
I do.
Did you do anything to determine whether there was any correspondence at that time between Mr. Williams and trying to get in touch with Duct Tape or Rock Nation to get together for this trial?
I didn't have any access to communications between Mr. Williams and Jay-Z around this time period.
And did you try?
Did I try to get Mr. Jay-Z's communications?
Or anybody?
I had no access to his communications.
So did you try?
Objection, after.
I didn't hear the answer.
I sustain the question.
Okay. And then the last word is straight, right?
Well, it's straight and there's 2 carats, so I would interpret that to mean straight up.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know the context of what this is talking about?
Objection, that is speculation.
I stand Mr. Foreman.
Do you know that Mr. Williams was about to drop a mixed tape at that time?
Objection, he's testifying.
I sustain the objection. Jury should disregard that last remark of counsel.
Your Honor, I'm asking if he knows that Mr. Williams was dropping a mixtape.
I said I've already sustained that objection.
Okay. Do you know what Mr. Williams was doing, if anything, with music at around that time?
That's a very kind of vague question. I'm sorry. Could you tailor that a little bit?
Sure. Do you know, as you sit here today, what in the music field Mr. Williams was doing around December 14, 2011?
I can't say that I do.
All right. Let's go to states number 25, if you don't mind. And you recognize the tweet from January 15, 2012 that you testified about?
I do.
And again, it's Mr. Williams' Twitter account, right?
Yes.
And it says, N ain't give me SH blank T, so I'm not coming with a K, nowhere, comma, your SH blank T gonna get shot up, and then it's FRFR, but you already explained that's for real, for real. Fair to say?
Yes.
And then 4 exclamation points, right?
Yes.
What did you do, if anything, to look at any context for that tweet?
I was not asked to review this or testify to context, so I simply reviewed the tweet.
Okay. I'd like you to look at what I've marked as Mr. Williams' number 61 dated today, and take your time and just tell me when you've had a chance to review that.
Okay.
And on Mr. Williams' number 61, dated today, 2/8/24, is that, to your knowledge, items from Mr. Williams' Twitter account, purportedly?
As represented here, yes.
And is it on the day before the tweet memorialized in State's Exhibit number 25, as well as the day of State's Exhibit number 25, January 14th and January 15th, 2012?
They're a bit out of order, but it does appear they're from January 14th and 15th.
Okay. And do you have any belief that these are not true and accurate on what Mr. Williams' Twitter account reads, to put in context the tweet that you put up in front of the jury?
I don't have any reason to dispute that, no.
Okay. Your Honor, I move for the admission of Mr. Williams, dated today, number 61.
Any objection to Defendant Williams 61?
Yes, Your Honor.
Faces.
Out of context, dates out of context does not explain the tweets that the state put in. If you look at State Exhibit 61.
I'm looking at stage 25. Is that the one you're trying to give context to?
Correct.
All right. I'm looking at stage 25 now.
Looking at
Stage 25.
correct.
And 61, Williams is in reference to stage 25 whiskey.
Your Honor, there are individual tweets, if you look, and the date will not put that text into context. And that intention of context will only go to the text.
Your Honor, they're the same dates.
They're not.
They're in order, and they covered the January 14, 2012 and January 15, 2012, which is the tweet in State's Exhibit number 25, and they do put it in context.
Your Honor, the tweet is from one date, which is the 15th. The 14th would not put the 15th tweet into context. And the other tweets do not reference anything in the tweet that was admitted. There's nothing in those tweets that have been admitted.
That's inaccurate.
Call approach, please.
State, I've noted your objection for the purpose of record. All right.
So, Detective, you're looking at Mr. Williams, today's date number 61, and we're going to, Mr. Kokomo already blew it up, but we should be starting on the bottom left on Mr. Williams' number 61.
I'm with you.
You're with it? Okay. And there, it's Mr. Williams' purported Twitter account. Is that fair to say?
It is.
And it is the day before, so January 14, 2012, the day before the January 15, 2012 tweet that you discussed with this honorable jury on State's Exhibit number 25. Is that fair to say?
It is.
All right. And then this is Mr. Williams' purported Twitter writing, hashtag 1 day left till the best night of the week. Hashtag Sunday, I'm saying night, but there's a U, where everyone goes to Metro Lane. You see that?
I do.
All right. And do you tell the ladies and gentlemen jury if you know what Metro Lane is?
Metro Lane is a bowling alley and entertainment center on Metropolitan Parkway.
Okay. Let's go to the next tweet, which is right above it. And to me, it's the same date. It almost looks identical, but we did it for completeness. Is that fair to say? And if I'm wrong, just tell me what I...
I'm sorry, could you ask that again?
Is there any speculation as to what they did?
I sustain an objection.
Okay. It reads the same as the tweet we just read. Is that fair to say, except the spacing is different?
Could you orient me to which tweet you're talking about?
Yes, the one right above. It should be directly above the one we just read, and I'll just read it. It's January 14, 2012, and you see where it says hashtag, and there's no spaces here. It says 1 day left till the best night of the week. Hashtag Sunday night with a U again, where everyone goes to Metro Lane. Fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And if you can scroll up, Mr. Kokomo. The next one is also on January 14, 2012. Is that right?
Yes.
And it reads, 1 day left till the best night of the week, Sunday night, where everyone goes, and everyone is with a every and then a one, the number one. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And then it says 2, hashtag Metro Lane, and it gives the address, as you said, on Metropolitan Parkway, right?
It does.
Okay. The next one, Mr. Kokomo, if you don't mind. Detective Belknap, this is also now a tweet purportedly on Mr. Williams' Twitter account. Fair to say?
It is.
Now the date is the January 15, 2012 date, right?
Yes.
And that is the date of State's Exhibit 25 that you read and identified earlier. Fair to say?
It is.
Okay. And it says, ends keep putting my name, and it says no, SHI_T. I'm going to let them
M-E-M, think it's cool with the K and then 5 exclamation points till they beat the F, I'm just saying, but it's F-U, and then there's a K, and then another K, straight, and then as you said, 3 hours up, so straight up. That go for everybody. Fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And were you aware that there was another establishment advertising that Mr. Williams was coming to their place to perform on that same night?
No.
All right. Let's go to the next tweet, if you don't mind. That's also January 15, 2012, correct?
Yes.
All right. And it says here, and I'm not saying the word, but N ain't giving me SH blank T, so I'm not coming with a K, nowhere, comma, yo, SH blank T, going to get, and it's a little blocked by Mr. Kokomo's writing, but it says, shot up, for real, 4 exclamation points. And that's State's Exhibit number 25W that you read, right?
Yes.
Okay. And again, not being paid for entertaining somewhere, you never investigated that. You didn't know that when you testified before the jury, did you?
I sustain the objection.
You knew nothing except you were given a tweet and then asked to tell the jury to read it and to give your opinion about it, right?
No, I wasn't aware of the context in which the threat was made, no.
If it is a threat, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
I sustain the objection.
All right, let's go to the next one. You see the same date, January 15, 2012?
I do.
All right, and it's again Mr. Williams' Twitter account, and it says hashtag Metro Lane, hashtag tonight, hashtag Metro Lane, hashtag tonight, hashtag Metro Lane, hashtag tonight. Is that fair to say?
It is.
All right, let's go to the next side, starting at the bottom. Are you with us?
I am.
Okay, and this is the very bottom of the right-hand side of Mr. Williams' number 61. Fair to say?
It is.
All right. And this again, Mr. Williams, same date, Twitter account, January 15, 2012, right?
Yes.
And it reads, the day has come, hashtag Sunday night, hashtag Metro Lane, where your dreams come true, hashtag doors open at 9, and then it gives the address, as you said, in Metropolitan Parkway, right?
Yes.
All right. The one above that is almost identical if you look at the two, except at the end of the zip code for Metropolitan Parkway of the address of Metro Lane, it has a number 2. Is that right?
It is.
And then the one above it, same date. And again, it's going to say the same thing, except at the zip code, it has a number 3. You see that?
Yes.
And then the same tweet going out, same date, but at the end of the zip code now we have 4.
Yes.
And then 5.
Correct.
And then 6.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you know anything when you testified before this jury about State's Exhibit number 25W that Mr. Williams was performing at Metro?
That would be speculation.
I'm asking if he knew when he testified.
I'm sustaining the objection, so
Did you have any context, or did you look for any context before testifying to State's 25W?
As stated, I was asked to review the content of the tweets, not context.
All right, let's go to State's Exhibit 26W, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry, which number is that?
The state's going to pull it up first. It's 26W. It's the state's. It's already in evidence. And I'd like to talk about the top one first, if that's okay. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You remember identifying this and it helping to admit it into evidence as Mr. Williams, excuse me, that's wrong. State's Exhibit number 26W, the top portion first?
Yes, I don't know that I helped admit it into evidence. I've been up here testifying.
Okay. And it says January 24th, 2012, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then it reads, I, thugger, baby, with a comma, got my whole RO5 or rock / MD5 or C, behind me, yeah. Is that fair to say?
It is.
That's the entirety of what you reviewed?
In that tweet, yes.
Okay. And do you have any evidence to share with this jury that that is not talking about Mr. Williams' musical career?
Objection, that would be speculation. Mr. Still testifying.
I stand objection.
Let's go to the bottom of 26W, State's Exhibit 26W. It's a different date. It's now January 12, excuse me, that's wrong. January 2, 2012, right?
Yes.
About 22 days earlier than the tweet above it.
Correct.
And it just reads, we literally up baby RO5 or C and MD5 or C, the richest, well, it has a K instead of a C, young families out here right now with 4 exclamation points, right?
Yes.
Did you know anything about the background of this tweet before testifying to it?
I know something about the background of what I testified to, which is ROC and NBC, yes.
Okay, but how about that tweet? Did you know any of the context or anything about it?
No, sir.
Let's look at State's Exhibit 27, if you don't mind. And this is on April 24, 2012, right?
It is.
2 green firearms, I'll say, with pistol, spelled the way it's spelled with an A, P, and then 4 exclamation points, right?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know that Mr. Williams has songs at about that time referencing Pistol Pete? Were you aware of that?
Not specifically, no.
Okay. Were you aware that Lil Wayne had songs referencing Pistol Pete earlier than that?
Not specifically, no.
Were you aware that many artists referenced Pistol Pete in their songs before April 2012, if you know?
Yes, I'm aware that other artists have referenced Pistol Pete in their songs.
Okay. The next one. Oh, wait, hold on one second. I'm going to ask you to look at Mr. Williams' number 62 dated today, if you take a look at it for me.
Yes, sir.
And can you familiarize yourself with it? Read it. Tell me when you're ready to discuss it.
I'm ready.
And these purportedly tweets from Mr. Williams' Twitter account dated the same day as State's Exhibit number 27W, the April 24, 2012.
They are.
And are these tweets, do you have any reason to believe that they are not fair and accurate representation of the tweets immediately before the tweet in State's Exhibit 27W, the 2 firearm Pistol Pete?
I do not.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of Mr. Williams' number 62 dated today.
Can I see the reference tweet states, what did you say, states 24? 27W, can I see it?
We'll get ready to put it up now.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Any objection to defendant Williams 62 Alpha?
Yes, Your Honor, same objection does not explain 27W.
I'm going to read over your objection, and it may be published as you see fit, and note your objection for the record.
Thank you, Your Honor.
When you get a chance, can you look at Mr. Williams' number 62, and then it'll be on the screen if you need it there, but otherwise it should be in your hand. Ready to discuss it?
I am.
Okay. Let's start at the bottom of Mr. Williams' number 62 dated today. That purports to be Mr. Williams' Twitter account dated April 24, 2012, the same date as the Pistol Pete with the 2 firearms that you referenced in State's 27W. Fair to say?
It is.
And then in the
bottommost tweet, it reads, Young Thug has a show on April 26, 2012 at 5 p.m. at Celebrity Basketball, then 3 dots in TBD, Georgia, and then SOC.LI, and then backslash, and then hashtag concert. Fair to say?
Yes.
And then the one directly above that, same date, April 24th, 2012, same date as the one below, and the Pistol Pete with the 2 firearms?
Yes.
And that reads, Young Thug has a show on April 26, 2012, 5 o'clock p.m. at Celebrity Basketball in, and then it has TBD, Georgia, and then it has, and hashtag 35, semicolon concert. Fair to say?
It does.
Were you aware at the time of testifying to this jury about State's Exhibit 27W, the Pistol Pete, that Mr. Williams was promoting a show in his tweets immediately before?
No, I did not review the tweets immediately before.
Okay. All right, let's go to State's Exhibit number 28W. Do you see that, sir?
I do.
Okay, and you testified to these earlier, fair to say?
I did.
And this is, we'll just take them in the top and then bottom, if that's okay.
Yes.
The top one is April 22, 2012, and it's again SMM-RO5 or C-MD5 or C-30D homes, 2 exclamation points, and then hashtag chick with a K, O-talk. Is that correct?
Close enough.
Okay. And the bottom one is, I don't know, 4 months later, 4 months and 5 days later. Is that fair to say? Same year, though?
Yes.
And that one you identified as RO5, crew with a K, /SMM. They're riding for Thugga with 3 exclamation points and then hashtag Black, right?
Yes.
Do you have any evidence to share with this jury that that is not people promoting Mr. Williams promoting his own music?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's only him promoting his music, and what I've seen in these tweets, what I've seen in my experience and my investigations is that he certainly was promoting his music, but he also promoted his gang through the music. His music was promoted by his gang as well.
Okay, let's look at State's Exhibit number 29W. Remember this tweet?
I do.
Okay. And that's June 21, 2012?
Yes.
And you testified that it reads, everybody go follow Bloody Bro at cartel with a K _DK on Twitter and Instagram, Black, and then ... and then RT you said is right now. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Did you ever go to at cartel with a K _DK to see what was being tweeted that day?
Not that day, although I have reviewed that account at various points in the past.
Okay. I'd like you to look at Mr. Williams' number 63, dated today. Tell me when you're familiar with that.
I am.
And are you familiar with the account that it purports to be on for the same day?
I didn't understand the question.
Do you recognize that to be the account of DK or Mr. Murphy?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay, and it's the same day as State's Exhibit number 29, is that fair to say?
It's a little difficult to read on here, but yes, it appears to be.
Okay. And that, do you have any doubt or do you have any information that that is not a correct of what was on Mr. Murphy's, or I'll call him DK for the purpose of this moment, social media account when Mr. Williams was saying go follow that person on Instagram and Twitter?
I don't have any information that it's not.
All right. Your Honor, I move for the admission of Mr. Williams' number 63 dated today. All right, any objection to defendant Williams 63?
Hearsay, someone else's tweets. It's the tweet from Cartel DK that does not put the tweet of the state into context. It's hearsay.
Can you all approach for a second, please?
Detective, I'd like you to help the jury to organize in their mind and thoughts Mr. Williams, number 63, dated today. This is, and we'll just take them one at a time. We'll start with the one on the upper left, if you don't mind, Mr. Kokomo, if you could do, yes. All right, you see the same date for at cartel with a K underscore DK?
I do. I can't see it from here, but I do believe it's the same date.
Okay, and that would be June 21, 2012, fair to say?
It is.
And when I say same date, it's same as in states number 29W, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And on the top one, it states under, and this is the public domain account for at cartel underscore DK, right?
Yes.
And that's the one that in states number 29W, Mr. Williams' Twitter account is saying go follow at cartel underscore DK. Fair to say?
It is.
All right. So when you go over to at cartel underscore DK on the same date, you get RT, sorry for the wait, hashtag, and then I5FN3. And you've already explained what that means to jury, right?
Yes.
And fair to say, I came from nothing, but the C is a 5?
It is.
And the third edition, right?
Correct.
And then it said coming, but with a B, soon, right?
Yes.
And then it refers back to Young Thug World, right?
It does.
And then it has a picture of Mr. Williams, purportedly Mr. Williams, right?
Well, I believe that is Mr. Williams.
Okay. And then it says on it, like a poster, I would say, Thug Independence, Young Thug, and then ICFM, which you already said I came from nothing 3, hosted by DJ Swamp 1220, drops July 4, right?
Yeah.
And it says on livemixtapes.com.
Yes.
Okay, if you could go to one underneath it, Mr. Kokomo, and this is the same date again of June 21, 2012, right?
Yes.
And it's again at cartel underscore DK, correct?
Yes.
And this one again has I and then a 5 instead of a C, FN3 coming, but with a B, soon, in a hood near you, B with a red surrounding it, black, and then B with a red surrounding it, black. Fair to say?
Yes.
And then it has, I'm going to say identical, but if it's different, I'm not trying, you point out the difference, but it has again that poster of Mr. Williams came from nothing 3 promotion. Fair to say?
They appear to be identical.
All right. If we can go up to the one on the upper right, which is now almost in the center of the screen, if you could see that and help us with that.
I do.
That again is June 20th now, 2012, right? You see that?
I can. What date were you saying that is?
June 20th. If you can't make it out.
No, that looks accurate.
All right. And again, that's at cartel underscore DK, right?
Yeah, and that's hard to read on here, but it says Young Slime Life underscore DZ, and then. Yeah, I mean, I can't really read it from here, but I do agree that it's Cartel DK.
Okay. And then it says and it says DA, but the studio with my bro at Young Thug World at Rock Crew underscore Little Rod, right?
Yes.
And do you recognize the people or person in that picture in front of the screen?
I can see Mr. Williams, yes.
Okay, and is Mr. Williams sitting down or standing up?
He's standing up.
And do you recognize the other person?
I can't see who the other person is.
Have you ever been in a music studio and seen the equipment in and around that was being used in around year 2012?
I've been in a music studio. I don't know as far as the 2012 part, but I've been in music studios.
Okay. And does that look like potentially, as it says in the top, at the studio? Music studio?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So, with regards to State's Exhibit number 29W, when you discussed that with the jurors yesterday, and Mr. Williams' Twitter is asking followers to go to Bloody Bro at Cartel _ DK on Twitter and Instagram, Black, 3 dots right now. Did you ever know that at that time, Cartel _ DK was promoting Mr. Williams' music at that same time?
Not specifically, no.
All right. Let's go to number stage 30W. You remember
I haven't.
Oh, you're just waiting for the screen. Got it.
Mr. Steele, I have a 31W, but I don't have a 30W on this presentation. Is that a video or a photo? Okay. I may need a couple minutes to find it, because this presentation I have does not have 30W right away.
Don't worry about it if it's not there. Yeah, I think you just had it.
I have 31W.
We'll take that down for a second, Mr. Kokomo. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for doing it.
You're welcome.
Detective Belknap, do you see 30W now, or you may have had it the whole time?
I did, and I do.
Okay, March 18, 2019, remember this tweet on Mr. Williams' Twitter?
Yes, sir.
And you talked about you ends keep slat in your mouth, but still ain't downed none, right?
Yes.
Are you aware of a song that is a lyric from?
I'm not, but I wouldn't dispute that it's a song lyric.
Let's go to, and there's, you said you have 31W?
I do.
Could you show that one? This has several, so, actually it has one, so. By the way, while that's coming up, do you remember it said,